Hi, I'm Lisa Flesher, and I've been a member of LIUNA Local 1611 since 2005. I want to speak today because my daughter suffers from mental health issues, and people need to talk about it and need to realize that it's an actual illness, right? And there's different diagnoses, right? Because I have members that are very obviously have some mental health issues. Their reactions are a lot different than my daughter's reactions, and I think everybody has their own unique way of how it affects them. But what is common amongst a lot of them is where they tend to withdraw from everybody. They'll go in their rooms. They don't want to talk to anybody. That's a common thing. But I think a lot of people also don't recognize that, and that if your child is withdrawing, that you need to kind of start to open up the conversation and not leave it alone when they're being reactive towards you. There's nothing wrong with it, and people need to know not to be embarrassed. And the more you talk, then you find out that there's other people that are going through the same thing. End the stigma. The best thing you can do is normalize mental health.
My name is Brianagh. I've been a LIUNA 1611 member since 2020. So my mental health journey was all in the back of my head my whole life. Is when I was about 11 that I was called into the counselor's office at school for some distressing material I had put out online, and then my mom was recommended to take me to the doctor, who referenced us to Children's Hospital, and I had my first mental health evaluation, which took about 3 hours. That's when I was diagnosed with major depression disorder. Following that, I started therapy, group therapy and individual, and that was twice a week for about 6 or 7 years. Fast forward to when I'm 18 years old, I'm still having a lot of mental health stints, especially considering how much therapy I'd gone through and the medications I was on, is when I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Anything can change in a matter of seconds. I can be having a great day, and then all of a sudden something happens and it's like my whole world comes crashing down. So I have weeks of good, weeks of bad. I can definitely feel when it comes on. Like, actually recently I've been having some trouble, and mostly I just try to fight through it. I try to use my therapy, but when you're in the eye of the storm, it's hard to see outside of it. Like, really open about my mental health. Like, that's, I feel like, why I was able to get help so soon in life. There definitely has been a significant change in how I handle my mental health since I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Before that, it was really difficult. Like, I was always having mood swings and like breakdowns, and it was not fun. And when I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder is when I finally got the chance to get, portions of therapy that I really need, dialectical behavioral therapy. And I can confidently say, like, after the first module of that, like, my life had like changed so much. It's still hard, but there's a significant difference from when I was first diagnosed with mental health issues to now, which is, I feel like my life is completely different, and I never thought I would be even close to where I am. Yeah, absolutely, there's roadblocks. Socially, your friends and family don't understand that you can become very reclusive, and it's hard for others to see when you are having a hard time unless they're with you all the time. It almost feels like people don't care when they don't check in on you when you become reclusive, and then so many of your friendships dissipate. I've not had very many long-term friendships because of my mental health, and it's very unfortunate because it makes you feel unloved, but I know I'm lovable. And then when it comes to your professional work life, you have trouble. It's almost like having like a chronic illness. So there are times when you get really sick and it's hard for you to work, but because it's something that you can't see, it's in my mind, you can't see that I'm sick right now, your employer is less likely to take you serious about needing time off or needing time for self-care. Puts a lot of strain on your relationships. I constantly, when I'm having bad moments, like, I will snap so quick, and I feel bad because, like, I love my mom and I know she does everything for me, and it sucks. Like, I want my mom to know that I love her, and when my mental health has this dark cloud over me, it makes me like a dark person. Like the saying, misery loves company. It's very true when it comes to mental health and your familial relations. And another roadblock that I have is finding help for mental health. It's really difficult in today's society, not only because there's not enough resources available, but because the resources are being used so heavily. You know, thankfully people are taking care of their mental health, but unfortunately, like, some people get left in the dust because of that, because it is such a heavy need for mental health help right now. I've been on a wait list since like July of last year, so over a year now. I've done everything I could possibly do. It's horrible because you can't get help unless you are at your absolute rock bottom. People will see you, you know, kind of masking your depression or emotional turmoil, if you will, and they think you're fine, you don't need help. But I find that a lot of people are at their worst when they're like that. That's what it is in my case. And it's just like, at some point, you can only try so much before it's like, it doesn't feel worth it anymore. And, you know, I'm not saying that like it doesn't feel worth it, but it's very discouraging. And I think like the most important thing for people in my position is, you know, if you're not comfortable talking about it open and frankly like I am here today, talk to somebody you trust. Anybody. It can be one person. Like, you just need somebody. You need a way to let it out. If you don't have that somebody, then put it in a journal. Like, start an anonymous blog. Do something that will help you release that emotion. And ending stigma on the other side is just listen without judgment. You know, there are a lot of crazy things that people do when they're having those mental breakdowns, and they need to know that you're a safe space to talk to. It's hard to admit some of the problems that we have, especially like more taboo ones, like say somebody's hearing voices. That's a very important thing to talk about. You have to lend that hand and make people feel like there's not something wrong with you. You're a normal person.